Joe's always been known as a very sharp dresser. Matter of fact, just the other day, he picked up 3 paternity suits.
Go into any bar this weekend and watch a football game and see how many black guy, white guy, Asian guy, Hispanic guy you see.
78 years old, no wife, no children, no family, banned from Hollywood for decades. Jimmie Walker, the man who made all of America shout dynamite in the 70s, kept secrets that destroyed relationships, ended his career, and left him completely alone. For 40 years, he refused to speak. But now, finally, Walker has broken the silence. And what he revealed is more shocking than anyone imagined. This is the true story of the man behind J.J. Evans. Are you enjoying this story? Jimmie Walker, Good Times? Then help the channel grow. Look, 94.8% of the people who watch these videos are still not subscribed to the channel. If you're part of that group, take the chance and subscribe right now. It's free, and that way, you'll keep receiving amazing stories from TV shows that we still miss a lot. And don't forget, at the end of the video, you'll find more stories like this one. Jimmie Walker, Good Times, Bronx, New York, 1947. Dangerous streets, extreme poverty, deafening noise. James Carter Walker Jr. was born in a place where dreams went to die. His mother worked herself to exhaustion. His father, gone. The family could barely survive. Jimmy remembers they had nothing but hope, and if you didn't find a way out, the Bronx would swallow you alive. At 17 years old, in 1964, everything changed. Walker heard stand-up comedy on the radio and had an epiphany. With no money for classes, no mentors, no connections, he practiced alone in front of the mirror. Ours, perfecting every expression, every pause, every joke. His self-deprecating humor was his weapon. And it worked. Late 60s, small nightclubs in New York. Jimmie Walker took the stage night after night, sharpening his talent. He didn't know it, but he was about to become a national phenomenon. Early 70s, American television was changing. Shows like Sanford and Son and The Jeffersons were bringing black representation to screens. Norman Lear, the legendary producer of All in the Family, was developing a new project called Good Times. Lear wanted a young, funny, and different character. When Jimmie Walker auditioned with his improvised style, Lear burst out laughing. The decision was instant. Walker would be J.J. Evans. Good Times premiered in 1974. At first, J.J. was just a supporting character. But everything exploded when Walker shouted dynamite for the first time with that piercing voice. The audience went wild. CBS asked the writers to include the phrase in every episode. Within months, dynamite spread across all of America. Kids screamed it on playgrounds. Adults repeated it in bars. Even President Gerald Ford knew about it. From an unknown comic, Walker became a national star overnight. TV Guide called him the breakout face of 70s sitcoms. When Good Times hit peak ratings, Walker was only in his early 20s. In just one season, he had gone from an obscure club comic to a household name. He appeared on Time, on TV Guide, was invited to talk shows everywhere, and even performed for the president. For millions of Americans, Walker was a beloved member of the sitcom family. But that blinding spotlight soon began to burn his relationships. Behind the scenes, a war was brewing. Dynamite became a national obsession, and Jimmie Walker was suddenly the brightest star. CBS celebrated record-breaking ratings, but backstage, tensions were exploding. The role of JJ quickly began to overshadow everyone else, especially the parents played by Esther Roll and John Amos. Both were seasoned actors who believed. Good Times had been created to portray the real struggles of a poor black family. But Walker's JJ was increasingly being written as nothing more than a buffoon. In 1975, Esther Roll gave a brutal interview to Ebony magazine. She said JJ wasn't a role model, he was a clown, and they didn't need a clown. That statement was like a knife aimed straight at Jimmie Walker's heart. The conflict exploded beyond words. John Amos openly fought with the writers, insisting the show had become a joke that demeaned black people. In 1976, after just 2 seasons, John Amos left Good Times. The news shocked everyone. In later interviews, Amos admitted he couldn't continue being part of a show where JJ was being written as a clown. CBS responded by writing James Evans out in a car accident. Fans were devastated. The media labeled Walker the golden child of CBS, the star protected at all costs. Shortly after, Esther Roll also walked away. She told the New York Times she couldn't stay on a show where laughs mattered more than the truth. For 2 seasons, her character was absent, and the show fell into crisis. CBS eventually brought Roll back for the final season, but the damage was done. The distance between Walker and Roll had hardened into a permanent fracture. After Good Times ended in 1979, rumors spread that Walker and Roll had cut all ties, never speaking again. Many fans remembered Walker's absence from Roll's funeral in 1998. Some claimed he deliberately stayed away. Walker chose total silence. No explanations, no excuses. For nearly 4 decades, he let the public write its own story. And then, at 78 years old, after more than 40 years of silence, Walker finally spoke. He admitted that Esther Roll truly did hate the way JJ was written. There had always been a distance between them that could never be bridged. But Walker also said Esther didn't hate him personally. She hated the character. They weren't enemies, but they were never really close, and he had learned to accept that. For decades, the public had only heard rumors. Now, at nearly 80, he finally acknowledged that the fractures behind Good Times were real and had shaped both his career and his entire life. If backstage drama had turned his colleagues against him, his political statements would push him even further to the margins. While most black entertainers in Hollywood stood with the Democratic Party, Jimmie Walker went in the complete opposite direction, and he didn't quietly cast his vote. He publicly declared it on national television. In 2012, during an interview on Fox News, Walker stunned millions when he bluntly said he had never voted for a Democrat in his entire life. This wasn't just a political statement, it felt like a declaration of war. His words spread instantly, placing Jimmie Walker at the center of a massive media firestorm. Walker continued to double down on his conservative views. He repeatedly voiced deep admiration for Ronald Reagan and openly praised Donald Trump, saying he found Trump practical and believed Republican policies were better for black people. His remarks sparked an immediate divide within the black community. Many saw Walker as a sellout, even labeling him a betrayer. On forums and in the press, countless articles asked why a black sitcom star would align with a party accused of being out of touch with the community. Among conservatives, however, Walker was celebrated as one of the rare voices brave enough to break through Hollywood's consensus. Jimmie Walker became one of the most polarizing figures in entertainment. In the 1970s, he had been beloved by millions, but by the 2000s, his acting career had faded. His political statements made it nearly impossible to find work. Directors quietly avoided him. Major talk shows rarely invited him. The name Jimmie Walker slowly disappeared from mainstream entertainment. What's striking is that Walker never showed regret. He declared he lived by what he believed, and if Hollywood didn't like it, he was fine with that. He wasn't going to change just to be loved. He accepted being shunned. He accepted losing opportunities. But he refused to compromise his beliefs. Today, when people look back at his career, they remember him as one of the few black entertainers who dared to carve his own path. For many, he represents a contrarian voice, unafraid to go against the majority. For others, he remains a symbol of division. Love him or hate him, no one can deny this. His political views transformed Jimmie Walker from a sitcom star into a polarizing figure. Walker was also pressed on same-sex marriage. In a 2012 CNN interview, he said that personally he was not a fan of gay marriage, but if it became law, he wasn't going to fight it. In 2012, at the height of the fight for marriage equality, those words ignited another firestorm. Walker also drew attention with his views on affirmative action. He stated it was necessary at one point, but that point had passed. To him, continuing it would only create dependency. His words struck a nerve. Many accused him of forgetting his roots. Yet others argued Walker was brave enough to say the uncomfortable truth. He was already regarded as an outlier in Hollywood, and these remarks only reinforced that image. Even in his personal life, Jimmie chose an unconventional path. In countless interviews, he stood firm, repeating his most shocking line. He had never been married, had no kids, and that's how it was going to be. This wasn't a joke. It was a conviction he held for decades. In a Hollywood overflowing with lavish weddings and divorces, Walker was almost a total exception. Throughout his career, the press speculated about his dating life. The most controversial rumor was his alleged relationship with Ann Coulter, the conservative political commentator. In the early 2000s, outlets reported that Jimmy Walker and Ann Coulter were secretly dating. The story spread quickly because the pairing seemed so unlikely. The rumors caught fire when Norm Macdonald casually revealed on a talk show that Ann Coulter was going out with Jimmy Walker. That single line turned gossip into headline news. People magazine dubbed them the most unlikely couple in America, but both kept things vague. Ann Coulter said Jimmy was one of the greatest people she'd ever met. Walker stayed silent, neither confirming nor denying. What shocked the public even more was Walker's complete lack of regret over living without marriage or children. When asked, he bluntly replied that marriage was not for him. For many, that was baffling. But for Walker, it wasn't sadness. It was freedom. He said he saw colleagues get married, then divorced, then miserable, and he didn't want that. Public opinion split. Some saw Walker as a Hollywood oddity. Others viewed him as a symbol of honesty, refusing to bow to social norms. At 78, Jimmy Walker still holds the same stance. He has never had a wedding, never been a father. His private life stands as a declaration. Not everyone needs a family to feel complete. The catchphrase dynamite carried him from poverty to stardom, but it also trapped him in the shadow of J.J. Evans. Walker's career followed a downward curve. The 1980s brought a few opportunities, but none strong enough to redefine his name. In 1980, he appeared in Airplane, a massive hit. Though a minor role, audiences cheered when they heard his voice. He continued appearing in sitcoms like The Love Boat, Fantasy Island, The Drew Carey Show, and Scrubs. Occasionally, he was invited to talk shows to repeat Dynamite, but these were only scattered bright spots. With fewer acting roles, Walker returned to stand-up. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, he toured across America, performing in small clubs and casinos. Compared to millions of Good Times viewers, the scale was modest. But for Walker, it was proof he still mattered. As he put it, television can forget you. But if people still laugh, then you still exist. At 78 years old, when many stars have retired, Jimmy Walker continues to surprise with his persistence. Though far from his peak, he still performs stand-up and takes part in small film projects. According to sources, Walker's net worth is estimated around $800,000. While it pales compared to his peers, it's enough to live comfortably. Walker never flaunted mansions or luxury cars. He's remembered for his simplicity, focusing on his craft rather than chasing extravagance. He continues to tour the stand-up circuit. In 2025, he appeared with Lenny Clarke at Martha's Vineyard. More notably, he took a role in the film Forgotten Fortune, shot in Oklahoma. After years appearing mostly in documentaries, Walker joked he joined late but still loved being in front of the camera. He's also preparing a new book reflecting on his career and views on political correctness. Beyond film and writing, Walker remains active in community work. In 2024, he joined a campaign promoting free skin cancer screenings. Walker has no mansions or flashy cars. He chooses a simple lifestyle, living in temporary apartments. Recently, while filming, Walker lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Are you enjoying this story, Jimmy Walker, Good Times? Then, help the channel grow. Look, 94.8% of the people who watch these videos are still not subscribed to the channel. If you're part of that group, take the chance and subscribe right now. It's free, and that way, you'll keep receiving amazing stories from TV shows that we still miss a lot. Oh, and don't forget, at the end of the video, you'll find more stories like this one. Jimmy Walker, Good Times. Jimmy Walker will not leave behind estates or a long resume of starring roles. What he leaves is one short catchphrase, powerful enough to etch itself into a generation's memory. Dynamite. That laugh proves. Walker touched audiences in a way no one else could. A life lived against the current. A life lived alone, but on his own terms. Hollywood may no longer shine its spotlight on Walker. But each time laughter erupts in a small club, each time dynamite resurfaces on YouTube, Jimmy Walker lives on, not as a dazzling star, but as an immortal symbol of American television history.